repeat the video to look at it again and you get all the events that are happening in Damanhur and in the Alchemy school. So after this presentation, we go on with the main topic of our evening, which are the inner senses. The inner senses are one of the topics that are very special because till today we need to discover the senses of our soul again to allow our soul to manifest in the material world. Like with our physical body, we use our view and our all the different senses. So to interact with the world, our divine part, our biggest part, to manifest needs senses. And these senses are the divine senses. The ones we started already to mention last time, and this evening we will touch them more in a more present way so that we can experiment them. First of all, the sense of divine. The sense of divine is this kind of sense that allows us to perceive our spiritual nature, our divine nature. It's that sense that is more awakened relative to the other senses. So, why don't we have these senses? And why don't we use them like we do with our view and our ear and nose and taste and so on? Because when we enter to look at the mythical history of the human being, we can say thousands of years ago, our race, human race, lost a battle against the enemy. And so we needed to, as humanity, to give away our best weapons, let's say, which were the senses of our soul. But as they couldn't taken off of the human being, they were hidden. And what's the best place to hide them if not inside of the human being? A place where we're not used to look at. It's the most important place, but it's also the most hidden place. That's why these senses are not easily expressible. We fatigue to recognize them and reawaken them. But the most awakened one, as I mentioned before, is the one of the divine. This sense of the divine, one of its characteristics is to give the possibility or to have the possibility so that we can perceive our true nature, our origin. It's a heartbeat, like our heartbeat. It's like the heartbeat of our spiritual heart, our soul, which we can perceive. And how can we perceive this? With states of awareness, emotions. So it's the part of the connection between the human part and the divine part. That language always have been active in the last centuries and always. And it was the one that allowed the creation and the birth of what we today know as philosophies, religions, spiritual movements, research, esoteric research, the initiate schools, because the finality of all these was to answer to the existential questions. Who am I? Where am I coming from? Why am I born here? What do I need to do? Do I have a mission in my life? And so on. Which, more or less, earlier or later, each one of us asks oneself. Because it's our soul, our collective soul, our soul that's pushes us to remember that it exists. And when we perceive it, then we can start to do this inner plan, this inner work, because the divine sense, beyond of being the sense that allows us to remember and manifest this part of the divine, is a sense that has its capacity to unite the human part with the divine part. And to do so, as we are bridge beings, we're really called in this way esoterically bridge beings that know to pass over that bridge that goes from the material to the spiritual, the human part, the divine part. So we're the race on this planet that has this divine spark lit. But it's not enough to have this lit on this spark only lit, this divine spark. We need also to make it grow, because the goal is to increase the channel of communication between the divine and the human, so that the divine becomes the essence, and that the human becomes in service, the essence becomes its essence and is in service to the divine part. Because we have, as if we would have a spiritual brain and a material brain. And so we have spiritual senses and material senses. And what does allow us to use these parts? It's our consciousness, our awareness, the point of attention, of presence that can be moved if we want to and if we know to use it. It can be moved from here and now, our physical body, to an always bigger sensation, a wider sensation, which is the one of our soul and our divine spark. And there, these senses start to play. And how can we do this? The world, as we always started to evolve, the way is to move the presence and attention towards us, and then open up. What does that mean? To to enlargen, to use our senses and to get used to use the senses, our outside senses, the senses we normally know, and the inner senses. And there are many practices you can use to do so. In Damanhur, we use one called Metratura. It's a practice where you start to be more aware about your outside senses, the normal senses, taste, smell, your hearing, the look, the touch, so that you sature them all. And once they are secure, it's as if there would be an opening towards the inner senses. And this is really a training to come to that point. Also, because another method that is more direct is meditation. So, to get disattached from the awareness of the physical body and light, more intimate and spiritual part, through meditation, through presence, through guided breathing. These are all techniques that allow you to go directly inside. This is a method that allows us to start this dialogue. And this is what I want to do with you. But then we can also ask ourselves, what do we need these senses for? What does we need to this sense, this divine sense for to do, to reactivate them in our everyday life? Well, if we start to be aware of it, we will understand the extreme value and richness. What is the first characteristic of the divine being? It's the capacity to create, to manifest. So if we are a part of this huge divine, and we go back to use these characteristics we have, we can choose and manifest what we want to have in our life. Understand? So more than what we want, because it seems to be something egoic, but the step is that one. If we learn to enter in contact, in communion with this divine part, also our understanding amplifies, our choices get more and more aware. And yes, we can manifest what we want, but this will is a bigger will. It's not only the need and the personal need. And here also we go to define two very important and interesting aspects to understand what is the moment when we live the animal part. So the one of the need. And when is the moment when we live the divine part, the spiritual part, the essence, being? So let's start with this. The human nature is made to live the material world and has its fundamental, very important programs that guarantee survival. So we eat. Every day, our body calls us to eat, and we cannot do anything because, as we know, we die if we don't eat. Eating, breathing, drinking, these basic things, right? But then we also need to have a mate to generate children. So this comes to everyone, this wish, this need, earlier or later in life, right? So sexuality is also a need, a strong need we have as male, female, whatever. The need of food, the need of sexuality, the need to have a place, a house, a protection where you can live. Also, this is important and fundamental. So to protect ourselves from when we lived in the caves till today, where we can live in our apartments, skyscrapers or villas or whatever, houses. We're no longer nomads. We're living in the same place because we have this need of the sensation of security. So all these needs are is something that our material DNA recalls, our body. So to bring it inside, there are needs that our body has to bring them inside. Now, if we turn that metal around, we look at the other part, the spiritual part, the divine part, our soul, let's call it as we wish, doesn't have needs. But the only need, let's say, the only thing our soul wants is to express itself. Everything it needs, it has energy, will, everything. It's like a sun. And here I do always give this example of the sun. Also in the meditation, we use the sun because we can see, we can feel this part, your inner part, like a sun that enlightens everything. It's this part that has its need is to bring light, life, energy. So in this case, the direction is longer from outside towards the inside, but it's from inside towards outside. So to express the proper essence. So we're not looking for the divine part. We have everything. We express it. So we need to come to do in a way that our life is taken in hand by this part, that we can consider the king of our castle. Meanwhile, the human part, with all its personalities and characteristics, are the servants that live to manifest the, the divine will, right? This is an example to make us understand the position. Till today, as more often we talked about, we can find ourselves that in some moments it's we have the on the throne we have the jewelry man, we have the king that is cooking and someone else that is cleaning, and everyone is in disorder. So we need to put our inner in order, and this is something the alchemy school teaches to we teach to our students, something practical to come to that inner order where each part, each piece has the proper place. And then, yes, you are guiding your ship. And it's the divine part guiding it and that knows the best direction for our life and our existence. The place where to put, with whom going in relation, like a piece of the puzzle that knows to unite and put oneself in the right place. So in this moment, we live this sensation of house, happiness, of being realized. And this is exactly the right point where we want to be, where we express what we have been created for, right? So this is the philosophy of the why we are looking for something, doing exercises, to come back to bring this divine spark on the throne of our life. It's fundamental. This is a little bit the first of the huge inner senses. And soon we will do an experiment to experiment this together. I want to add that the inner senses, there are many more, and maybe in other moments and in other evenings that we will do together, we will talk about them and experiment them. Today, I will mention some of them. For example, one is called the sense of exchange. In the human nature, we live duality, separation. In the divine nature, this doesn't exist. We are one, as with all, as with also the other people, the things, the animals. We are all connected. Now, what does that mean? It means that to become aware, to get, to have an important, strong relation with the family or tribe, coming to a people, a spiritual people, there you can create a major entity of the human being. Like we're made of cells. The cells together are creating organs, and the togetherness of organs is creating an individual. It's functional, where the organs are working together, where each organ has the proper function. The cells are inside of each organ and do their work, and so on. This, on the level of social alchemy, it's the same thing. The individual, couple that can generate, tribe, group, family group, people. The people is a spiritual entity. And when you're part of a spiritual entity that is so elevated, like, for example, the magical people of Damanhur, Il Popolo, it's easier to use this sense that is called sense of exchange. And what does that mean? It means we have the capacity to be able to recall and use the talents that the other parts of this organism did evolve. So thanks of our connection, we use these parts as if they were ours, because we know them, we recognize them because we are part of one huge individual. But to give you an example, it happens often that your mates or mother and son, something special happens. The mother feels that something had happened to her son. It's this feeling, we don't know yet to give it a name. This is the sense of exchange. So these are people that are very close from on the soul level, but this can also be improved, and it can be done with everybody. Now, another inner sense, very important and fundamental inner sense, is the sense of dreaming. So the sense of dreaming is not, okay, the night I'm dreaming something, but it's the capacity to use with awareness our bodies, our subtle bodies, beyond the physical body, because you can imagine that we are like an onion with many layers. And these layers, each one of them is a different body. The one we know best is our physical body, but then we have ectoplasmatic bodies. We have subtle bodies. In some schools, they are divided in 33 different types. We can divide them in astral and spiritual, just to start to do a small division of our characteristics. Did it happen to you that in the night you dreamt to fly and then to feel where you did fall back into your bed? This is an astral travel, when our consciousness moves with other part, exits the physical body and uses other parts. And when it comes back, if we don't do it well, then we have this hit, like as if we would fall. This happened to many people. Now, this allows us to open towards new worlds, new perceptions, new states of awareness, and then also to use these things from many aspects, to meet other vital entities, to other realities, to meet other parts of us, and so on. So these are some of the inner senses, but there are others we will see in another moment. Now, to not be stuck just in theory, but to experiment, let's now experiment the sense of the divine, the sense of our capacity to manifest. So, who wants follows this short, fast dynamic of meditation, of relaxation? Like we did in the other times, important is to sit comfortable on your chair with your legs slightly open and your hands and arms along your sides, maybe laying on your knees, and starting a slow and deep breathing. We breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. In through our nose and out through our mouth. Breath after breath, following my voice, you feel the weight of your body, where our body touches the chair. We feel also the contact of our clothes, where they touch our skin. And all these sensations help us to be present, to bring our presence inside of us. Because, like in the meditation, you need to move in the center of yourself into that neutral point, this place where you allow all the emotions and sensations just to flow. Through breath, you bring energy inside of your body, and this frequency that always rises and rises. And together, for who is online and also who will look at this and do this in other moments, we create an energy bubble that brings us all together on a higher frequency. And breath after breath, when we feel so, we close our eyes, move our attention towards the air entering our nose and exiting our body. Now, this shining, bright point we see inside of us is our center that step by step starts to move as if it would walk along a path in nature. And breath after breath and step after step, we come closer to a hill. On that hill, we can see a beautiful castle. Bright, shining bright, a castle made of crystal with all the colors. And breath after breath and step after step by step, we come closer to this marvelous, enchanted place. The air is fresh around us. The sensation of fresh grass, green, soft grass under our feet. And step by step, coming closer to this light of that castle that enlightens everything around us till we arrive to the door. It's a huge door. And we knock at the door. Knock, knock. And we see that the huge portals are opening in front of us. The servants give us a sign to enter. And step by step, they bring us into the hall of the throne. A beautiful hall. Marvelous. In the end of that hall, we find a throne, a beautiful throne, shining bright with crystal and gold. And the servants show us the throne and invite us to sit on it, because this is our throne, the place of union between the human part and our divine part. So we sit on it, and it's perfectly comfortable. Sensation of pureness, crystal beauty, and breath after breath, our whole body vibrates more and more on a always higher frequency, because this is the point of union between the human and the divine part. Now that we're in this marvelous place, we can ask whatever can be useful for us, for our life, our everyday life. Inspiration, energy, health, whatever. Because this is the place where everything is possible. Here we can manifest our will, our energy, everything we wish, because we're inspired by this divine part inside of us. So also our wishes are not egoic wishes, but divine wishes, expressions of our higher will that wish to manifest into the world. Now each one of us opens the feeling towards this richness, prosperity, this completeness of awareness and consciousness. And while we observe ourselves, we can see what marvelous things we can add to our everyday life to improve it, to make it more shining and more bright. So, breath after breath, our cells, our body, our mind is orienting towards this divine frequency. We just need to welcome it and allow it to be. It's not important to have a vision, to feel, or whatever. It's important to open towards that divine will. And breath after breath, we can feel this energy coming down from our crown chakra to our head, entering our body, makes our third eye golden, shining bright. The pineal gland in the center of our brain is freed and activated, and so on. The throat chakra for communication, the heart for the feelings and awareness, solar plexus for the emotions, our expression, vitality, sacral, which is between our sexual organs and our anas, which evolves sexual energy, the energy we're using majorly during our life. Breath after breath, it touches the earth till to our feet. We're completely involved in that divine frequency. And we tune to this high frequency. This is the sense of the divine, to be in that state of awareness. And from here, we can manifest. And breath after breath, we live this moment that is evolved in our whole life. This energy enters from here and now into our whole being, from children, younger one, just born one, still to the ancient one, because we're a whole creature and we're nourishing ourselves through this high frequency, full of this energy of the soma, that divine drink. We say thank you. Thank you that we could have access to these high levels of ourselves, the sense of gratitude. We start to leave that throne again. We stand up knowing that in whatever moment we wish, we can come back here to manifest our divine nature. Breath after breath, we move, we exit the castle, which now we know is our castle. It's our throne. And we will come back. And step by step, we walk back the path we came here. We can feel again the grass, the fresh grass under our feet, the wind, the fresh wind around us. And back we come to where our body is. And with smooth movements of our hands, our feet, we enter back into our body, which allows us to come back in the here and now, but with a higher frequency, with a higher sense of life, vitality, potential. Now, in these last minutes, I will tell you how we can use this sense. Naturally, in the School of Alchemy, we activate through instruments, tools, rituals, knowledge. We activate these inner senses so that this becomes this faster path. But each one of us can start to reawaken them, do the first steps. And the best moment to contact these parts are in the morning or in the evening. the blue hour, the twilight. So when day and night are touching, when night changes in day and day changes in night. So these moments, the twilight moments, are moments where we can do the best manifestation and think. Thinking is to create the life, the best of our life. So from that throne, we can, from this best state of ourselves, from there we can blow this vital this vital wind to manifest. You can also use your dreams to travel in worlds that are far away. So also this evening we touched one of the fundamental art topics of the alchemy school, which are the inner senses. We did an experiment to experience the sense of divine. Remember to sign in for our newsletter. And thanks for everybody. Thanks for your presence, and thanks for your uh, challenge and task that you took to create a better world, because we start with each one of us to create a better world. It starts with each one of us to make the world better around us. Convoy, have a nice evening. I wish you a very nice evening. Convoy.